Hello there. Welcome to another edition of Mass and Melody. And those of you who are joining us for the first time, Mass and Melody is a program that DNO started during the Carnival season, which was focused on giving an overview of things happening for Carnival and in the area of Calypso. And we did a few programs during the season, but we always said that at the end of the season, we would come back and take a look at Carnival and Calypso in retrospect. So basically, the focus was on Carnival and Calypso, hence the name Mass and Melody. Mass, Carnival, Calypso, Melody. And in this program, or final program for it's not, the season is over, but in the series, we are looking at specifically at Calypso. As we told you in the previous program, that this time around we would focus on Calypso and look at the state of Calypso in detail and bring in a panel of people who we think would be in a position to share some solid thoughts about the situation regarding Calypso and where we can go from there. So we're calling the program Is Calypso Ailing? And if so, how can we treat the condition? On the panel this evening is Wackers, Ashton Wackers Lugay, as you know, a former member of WCK, also a writer and musician, and Ian Dorival, who is a former chief judge, but he told me very clearly that he's still a judge. Ras Kelly. So Ras Kelly, past president of the Calypso Association, still involved in administering Calypso, and he has also been a Calypso singer and songwriter. And finally, but by no means least, Clement Barber Richards. He's somebody who has culture and the arts at heart in Dominica, and he is always ready and willing to contribute, to make his contribution to anything that has to do with culture and arts and development in Dominica in general. So here's this final member of the panel this evening. We were hoping to have someone from the Dominica Calypso Association, and it may very well be that at some stage we may be joined by one or two other people who are supposed to be here to complete our panel. Be that as it may, we have a solid panel, and we're going to start this evening to bring you hopefully what we hope will be some meaningful discussion on the topic. Is Calypso ailing? And if so, how can we treat it? I want to begin, gentlemen, by doing a round table, take on those of you who are here. What I would like you to do is to give me a brief comment on the topic. Is Calypso ailing? And if so, how can we treat it? And I say brief because I do not want you to go into detail about the thoughts that you have on it, whether in terms of what you think the state of Calypso is now, or what you think can be done to treat it. I just want you to give me an overview of your position on where Calypso is at, or do you agree with the topic? Is Calypso ailing, and should we then be looking at ways of treating it? Let's begin with Wackers.
Good evening, team, and once again, it's a pleasure to be on your show. And just to begin, is Calypso alien? I'm sure you must have thought about the word alien, because when people hear the word alien, the first thing that probably comes to mind it is that you are a sick person, probably, and you could probably be ailing from some sickness, and we are hoping that you either recover from that ailment or you can pass away depending on how you are treated. So first of all, I think the word alien is a good word to use for Calypso. I think so. It is alien. It is not critical. It is not, I would say, in a state where it cannot come back. But at least we could use the word interchangeably and say suffering. or requiring some sort of treatment. And in that respect, I would say then Calypso is alien. And of course, you could base that on a number of scenarios, or if you want, causes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's move on now to Ian.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for inviting me to your program. I totally agree with you. Calypso is ailing. I think what needs to be done, there's some modification needs to be done to ensure that we have involved the Gen Z, the young people into Calypso. I think for now, that's what I will say, and I think I have some things that we can do to encourage it and to bring the young people. It's mainly the elderly and the mature folks that are at Calypso now.
Okay, thank you, Ian. As we move along, Ras Kelly.
Yes, good evening, everybody, and let's just give thanks, of course. Tim, let me just tell you, I never start anything, and as a producer, you mustn't take off job from anything you do. Always give thanks first when you start anything. And as for his intervention, that we may have the wisdom and understanding, and at the end of the conversation, we'll have done something meaningful. But in terms of the word alien, I don't want to use the word alien. Right now, Calypso Paris. And that's what it's all about. It Paris, and we have to see if we can put the dominoes back in order. But as to how we're going to do that, the discussion will probably lead us to whether we have solutions or whatever it is, if we can get the medicine. But as Ian say, Calypso is a particular genre, and when you mix it, it will no longer be Calypso. You know, if you go and you change anything, add anything to it, it will no longer be Calypso.
Okay, well,
But as we go along, we
okay.
expand
Yeah, we will
on
get to
that.
that because I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
you know, some that will come up, will be highlighted in the discussion,
Yeah.
you know. But before I move on to Clement Baba Richards, I want you to define the word Parisé because not everybody listening to Calypso or listening to us will really understand what I mean, they probably associate the word with dominoes, but they may not necessarily understand unless they're a domino player or somebody who knows about dominoes what Parisé means. So when you say Calypso Parisé, you know, they will understand well exactly what he's talking about.
Definitely, Paris is all about. Sometimes Paris can be a mistake, and sometimes Paris can be intentional. It's all about something go wrong somewhere, something not in the right place. That's what Paris is all about. Either it can be intentional, and it could be. Sometimes you play domino and it's dotish, you dotish while the game Paris, or you have your little tiffin ways in you, you know,
Right,
and you actually do it and people don't look. But it's all like a tie-up team. It's a
right.
tie-up, and yeah,
But the thing is,
a
though,
tie-up, a tie-up not for good, eh?
right. And
Right.
sometimes, especially if it's deliberate. But the thing about it though is that the game can be parisé, right? And nobody knows until much later. Now it's too late. Then you realize
But
something is wrong, right?
yeah, well, like everything, sometimes it's intentional. Instead, I knock, I just put down a domino and hope nobody does see.
Right. And the thing is, it can continue for some time and nobody knows or realizes that something is wrong until perhaps later down, the people who can play realize, hey, what's going on here? You know what I mean? So I say
So,
that to
so
say
that's
that.
where you are. That's where we are now. We're going
All
to
right.
see something wrong, and we're going to see
Okay, to try
if
to
we
find
can
out
correct it.
what it is that
Yeah,
is wrong. All right.
yeah.
Okay, so we'll come to that. That'll be the next round. Baba, what's your what are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, in terms of the powers, it's just like the cards would have need to go like say if you have a 2 and a 6, the next one has to fit with the 2, and so the powers means like if you put this a 4 instead where the 2 was supposed to mix. So basically it's a mix up sometimes, and it's just that sometimes when the game go on, you end up saying whoever win basically cannot win because the game powers it, you know.
Okay,
So
but
basically, yes, in terms of the topic itself, yes, I would think in general, instead of just saying if it's Calypso alien, Calypso has problems. The past couple of years should indicate that the attendance is not at what it's supposed to be or what it was. And one of the most important things is what Ian said. The demographics has shown that our the attendees at the Calypso competition is basically people in the advanced age, right? Basically our age group. And like say, my son is not a major Calypso fan. He's a Bouillon fan. And so that is where the whole situation is. We have a generation coming that doesn't naturally inherit Calypso as part of their makeup. And the generation living is basically we may live with the Calypso if we don't prepare the ground properly.
All right. Okay. Good way of putting it.
Very correct.
But you know, it seems to me that we all generally agree. Well, I didn't give my thoughts, but I came up with the topic. So that I suppose should indicate that I kind of think that way myself. You know, that we're at a critical stage now where we need to diagnose the situation, diagnose Calypso, and see whether we can come up with what is wrong with it, and see whether in diagnosing there is what the prognosis is. Prognosis meaning that if it's something that can be cured or not. If it's something we relegate to the death chamber, or if it is something that can be cured, and if so, how do we proceed to find a cure? But what I want to do in this next round, the next question, is to identify the reasons that we think Calypso is where it is, whether you refer to it as parisé or ailing or suffering, you know. Why do we think? What are the reasons that make us believe that Calypso is not in a good place?
Well, Tim, I probably want to start for where Baba stopped. What Baba was saying is it's almost a generational thing. Every genre of music after a while goes to folk music. We had ska, right? Very popular. All of us, well, I don't know if Ian would know what ska was.
Ian
then we had rock.
You mean Ian is that young?
Yeah, them parents. I don't think Wackers know what ska was.
Wackers, yeah, no, man. Come on.
Wackers knows music, man. Diabla. Wackers knows music.
And then we had Spooge, right? Barbados.
Yep.
And then we had Rocksteady. We had they're not there anymore. And unfortunately, Calypso is heading for that. And we in Dominica probably give Calypso extra life. Many years ago, Hurricane and myself went down the islands. And I'm talking 10, 12, 15 years ago. And in most of the islands, Calypso was already going. And soca was coming on. In Trinidad, a few years ago, I leave a Saturday because to me, nobody was interested in Calypso. My daughter was there, and when she asked about Calypso finals, they asked her if she crazy. Everybody was groovy soca itself, and I believe Calypso, no matter how we try, is just another genre. I don't even anybody will counter that. Another genre that will go to folk music time to come. Because as Baba say, Calypsonians, the Calypso fans, a lot of them in their 60s and their 70s, and as they go in, it going, and you're not going to bring the young generation, the Bouillon blood that there for 25 years now, into Calypso. So we might try all what we can. And if I sounding pessimistic, it's not my fault. I need for a good while, and I know it's going to be difficult to turn the clock. And I can give an example. I hope I'm not talking too long. We had the Cadas not too long ago, 50 years, right? Mm-hmm. And we tried to make Waddicks understand certain things you want to do. Free nights cannot make. Because Cadas, when it started, a lot of us were in our 20s and our 30s. 50 years later, we're in our 70s and we're in our 80s. And trying to bring back Cadas, we all see what it was on the free nights. I was part of it, in it, and we never clock a 300. And that's because 50% of those people die already. Another 20% was in New York, 10% in England in retirement home. And you're not going to start to bring back the Cadas. Gordon was really, he put his energy in it. And Wadix was just listening to my partner there. And we see the results. It's the same thing with Calypso. After a while, I don't think we'll do all what we want. And as things say, if we start mixing it with bouillon, it will not be Calypso anymore because we know what Calypso is as musicians, right, Wackers?
Basically, I in agreement to what you say, but sometimes I feel that we ourselves should be taking part of the blame for what has happened. And I say that with caution and expectation that I may get some criticisms based on what I say. I'm saying that to mean that if we do not teach our children to grow up in the proper way, when they grow, they shall depart from everything that they and follow their own ways. I think some of the problem is that we didn't find that time, if you want, to encourage and teach our children to grow up in the proper way. Sometimes, and as a result, they found their own way. I think it happens for two reasons. One, because the generation in itself is one that is a now generation, if you want to call them Generation X. And we are a generation that have, as you say, Kelly, we are slowly moving on as a generation. Now, a generation come and a generation go, and if we don't leave something, a mark for that generation to continue with, they will develop their own. Now, what you have to understand is that this generation coming, it has been coming, and we knew it was coming. It didn't happen yesterday with the bouillon that we're hearing today. Remember when Cornell and Hunter did that song, Carry Bacchanal?
Mm-hmm.
It started to change there in terms of what the Calypso meant in a true form, in the hurricane form, in the form Ras Kelly. It started to change from that time. And we didn't treat it as nothing, but we accepted it like something that was evolving, something that happened naturally, and something that we should expect. Because there is this generation coming, and they are bringing their own stuff into whatever we do. As you mentioned earlier, like ska, like reggae, like smooch, they all went through some changes. But sometimes what we have to understand is life is a cycle, and we may have to go back to where we started. Because even today, I hear some bands still play ska and using ska in some of their modern music. I don't hear that too much for Spooge. As a matter of fact, I heard a remix of some of the artists from Barbados making a version of some Spooge songs from some cover songs. So therefore, we cannot say like it is dying and it is going. What I can say is that it is evolving, and in that evolution, it continues to be evolving in a way whereby it can be accepted among the youths. And that is what I think.
Let me just make this point, which I think you can pick up on. And it is sort of taking off from what Wackers said. I mean, you said that essentially like ska, rock steady, and so on, which have disappeared, but which I don't necessarily agree with that they've disappeared, but which are no longer popular genres or styles, types of music. The calypso too will disappear. But what I want to ask though, and it ties into what Wackers was saying about evolution. I mean, did ska and rocksteady really disappear, or were they part of the evolution that led to reggae?
No, rocksteady was what it was, and it went to a thing, But then nobody playing rocksteady,
but the fact is, rocksteady itself evolved.
Right,
into
well,
reggae.
Calypso
So
evolving.
right, so that,
And
I
then
think
you
that's
can,
what Wackers is saying, and that is why I
good.
mean
Now,
this
I want to put something on Wackers
right.
and also on Ian.
Mhm.
Right.
Ian, as a judge, a lot of our music, Dice music, had a lot of booyah flavor in it. Away from it didn't have what you would say, you hear a Joe, you hear a Ghost, you hear we singing Calypso. It had a lot of booyah, which was good for Calypso because it gave it, in terms calling it Calypso, it gave it a kind of upbeat, you know. And then Wackers, I going to tell Wackers, he and Cornell and the rest came up and they came up with booyah, right? Wackers, and that is where you start to change the generation and move them away from the calypso. While you're saying we should train our youth to follow what we're doing. You were one of those, and I'm not telling you no because right now Booyah is what that have the world going and Dominica known. But you were part of it that take us away from the genuine calypso. No?
I just want to button and say Peter later has joined us from the Calypso Association, eh? And let's
Okay.
welcome him. Yes, Baba. Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
and especially my partner, Ras Kelly. You know what is the question? What is Calypso? Calypso didn't start with our generation.
No.
And Calypso started out of a particular situation around 1844. And Calypso initially in Dominica was Creole based and drum centered. Okay? And it progressed over the years. And especially with electronic music now, we have a different Calypso. And actually, you know what? And that is one of the interesting things. You know where the name Calypso came from? Calypso was the name of one of the most significant female Negmawa leaders. Her name was Calypso. So in my mind, I'm trying to figure how come Trinidad got that name Calypso. And so essentially, I see Calypso coming from the Negmawa experience and transmitting down to us. And even the rhythm itself changed and the language changed. When we check, what's it?
Okay, see what you do. It's a
All of
brand
them
new
old time
thing. Mommy
calypsos,
said wouldn't.
the traditional songs, right?
Well, Baba, you're kind of
All
your
Creole.
signal is
That's
kind
what
of
we
is
know.
kind
Who
of
say lap lap,
dropping.
that is calypso. Okay.
Okay.
Then we go
Yes.
with well, no, I'm talking in Creole, right? And we
Yeah.
juxtapose that with Daddy Chess singing how roof leaking. These are both calypsos, okay? So we have to understand that calypso is a wider experience, and nothing says culture is set in stone. Culture evolves with
It
the
will
people,
always
right?
evolve. It
And I
always evolving.
disagree.
Right. Absolutely.
Hold on,
Yes.
Kelly, give me a break, please. I disagree with Kelly that you cannot change calypso. We have to decide. Basically, we have to keep the roots. We have to keep the foundation. But as we grow, we learn different techniques in building and living, and we have to do the same in our culture. So
Yeah.
please
Okay.
don't
Guys.
let us not put calypso as one static situation. It has already evolved and it can evolve. And I think that calypso can still move forward because Kelly, you went to Trinidad a couple of years ago, but I've been following Trinidad calypso really for the past couple of years, right? And the king last year was a young man, and the queen this year is a young woman. She's not like she's probably around 40, 50. You understand? Maybe 40. I don't put too much on her, right? And so the generation can change, and we have to basically our challenge in Dominica, I see it, is how do we exist with both calypso and bouillon? And that is where the challenge is.
Okay.
Because I don't think calypso will die.
That's where I want to
Calypso
come
will
in.
continue and will have different forms. But how do we deal with this new situation of bouillon and calypso as two parallel forces
And that's where
Oh, okay. All right, Baba and Ian, going to comment.
yeah.
Justin, but I just want to say this. That is, well, we seem to have entered the prognosis phase before we went through the diagnosis. We had started the diagnosis, and that is to identify, well, what is wrong, and I think we came up with maybe one point about the fact that it's no longer appealing to young people. But there are other things, too, right, that have contributed. Is that the main? And Ian, you can take that up and bring in whatever it is you wanted to say. But is the fact that Calypso has lost its appeal for young people, or young people are no longer interested because of bouillon, is that the main malaise facing Calypso at this point in time? And if so, if not, then what else has contributed to the demise of Calypso, or the fact that Calypso has over the years lost its appeal?
Well, one of the things I must say is that the key issue is that with Calypso back in the years, going back 10, 15 years ago, I think Calypso was at a point where it was felt by the organization that people will always attend without putting the required marketing and sales into the Calypso. So it was a point where we know Calypso final, you have 3, 4, 5,000 people. So it just continued like that. So the executives and the Calypso Association did not emphasize on proper marketing, especially to encourage the young people into Calypso. So we at the point now. We at that point now. I do not believe Calypso is totally dead and is going to totally. If we don't do anything about it, it will. But if we now do something about Calypso and try to change the course, I think there's an opportunity to change it. And I think we should not say. I think the opportunity is trying to marry both the bouillon and the Calypso within the competitions. And if when we go further, I will explain exactly what I mean by that. But I think Calypso end up in a situation with a lack of marketing and proper sales into the Calypso. That's what I believe about the main issue.
Okay. When I come back, when I say when I come back, because I'm going to
If
pizza
I
now.
could jump in quickly, Tim.
I'm going to pizza now. I'm going to pizza now, just now, Baba, because I just want to introduce Peter because he's with us. But when I come back, I want to explore some more in what Ian has said. But Peter, I don't know if you're hearing, but I can see you with us. If you're hearing, let us know if you're on.
He's on, but he's on mute. Unmute your
well,
Peter.
yes, his thing is on mute, but as to whether he's in fact in front of his phone or the laptop or whatever it is. Okay, yes, Peter, I see you have unmuted.
Guys, sorry, technology took the best of me, man.
All right,
a Gen Z like you, man.
Well, thanks for joining us, Peter. We're certainly glad to have
Good night, guys. Good night, team. Right. And when I heard Ian, I already thought it was Ian.
But Peter, the way I started the program is by asking the panel to give their thoughts on the topic, and the topic is Calypso ailing, and if so, how can we treat the condition? What do you think of the topic? Do you agree or disagree?
Is Calypso ailing?
Yes.
Yes, I think for now Calypso is going for a session. But I don't know if you listened to me when we had a meeting not too long ago, when I said I had a conversation with Calypso, and Calypso told me she's seen some light at the end of the tunnel. You know,
that sounds like a topic for a next song boy, a next Calypso boy.
and Calypso said she's confident that very soon she'll be back on her feet, man.
All right. Okay. So thanks for that, because that is what I wanted from each individual, each panelist at the beginning, just to let me know what their thoughts on the topic,
Yeah,
okay.
But Tim.
Yes.
Just before you move on, something Kelly said the other day and saying that we WCK are responsible for that transformation. And he's right. He's right, because as we say, generation come and they adapt to their own conditions. Right. They develop their own style. Now, we can take elements of everything to make something. Now, bouillon is a typical and a good example of that. In bouillon, you have what is being taken from different genres of music. If you're on different Dominican traditional style of music and creating what we know as bouillon. That includes jingping, bele, mazu, the fion, whatever it is. In the same way, we have elements of Kada Calypso in Calypso. Now, it was a thing that was done because of the generation at the time, who was us. And of course, that generation, and he agreed to that it evolved over the years, and that is what that is happening. I just wanted to mention that.
Okay, Baba wanted to come in a short while ago. Yeah,
Yeah, well, in terms of what Ian was saying about the problems with Calypso or the cause, right? I think one major thing we have to understand, it really would be good to get the figures, like how the gate receipts have reduced. But one of the key things is the thing watching us, that's the elephant in the room, is the economics. People have less disposable income. The Calypso show is relatively expensive. And so people feel, boy, I'm not too sure I want to spend that money to go there. Especially, remember, it's like the carnival season. Maybe I'll hold my money for the road or something like that, or hold my money to pay for my costume. So that the economic situation has impacted on Calypso as well. I just wanted to put that in there.
I disagree with you. I disagree on that point because
I disagree with him too, Ian.
Okay, let's hear from Ian. Yeah,
a lot of the other shows are way more expensive than Calypso. If you ever been to any of these shows now, Calypso price is a joke compared to them. Most of them, the standard show right now is $140 to go to an event right now. $140, $160, $175. I think the issue is the appeal, is making the Calypso event an appeal for the younger generation. And I think the issue is that Calypso never thought that they would reach in that stage, because nothing could happen in Dominica on a Calypso night back in the day. 10, 15 years ago, you could never even think of putting a show on a Calypso night. Nobody would attend.
Yeah, Ian, at that time, you had Ras Kelly on stage. You had Bricks on stage. You had Hunter on stage. You had Scrunter on stage. You had some serious performers on stage. That was part of it. But then, and to go back to certain things, Calypso, according to Dr. Horace Liverpool and all those who came to us, a genre of music have a particular, even the hi-hats, you cannot play a reggae beat and call it Calypso. A Calypso is it have a particular beat on the hi-hats and everything. When you move away from that too much, you don't have a Calypso anymore. Now, the other thing about Calypso in Dominica that we might not want to talk about, you see the lyrical part of Calypso? It had a lot to play in terms of the depth of Calypso. The lyrics, and I can tell you, I was in Calypso when we used to clock 12,000 people at the back of grammar school, The park would be full and the lines all the way down River Street. But then we reach a stage where Calypso, people would tell Freddie Menz and myself, boss, we're not coming in that park and listen to those things against our government, And I will tell you, that was a serious thing. And we would see them people telling us straight, we're not coming and listen to that. And every year go from 12 to 10 to 8 to now I sitting down in a booth and it have 300 people in the Calypso finals. Luckily this year we probably had about 800 people that come in the diaspora and make it look like something. But our lyrical part of Calypso, it play a part in our Calypso dying. I can tell you that.
Okay, there's no doubt, Ghost, that there are a number of factors. As I said, it cannot be just one factor. It has to be a combination of factors. And you're touching on the artistic, the aspect of the art form, and that is the quality of music that is being produced, or sounds that is being produced now compared to, years ago. But the question is, the people you see who used to fill the venue for Calypso shows in the past, are they still around and are not coming to the shows, or is there dynamic?
Baba tell it to you already,
Right.
A lot of those people, they gone.
Exactly.
It's just a few that remain, and we put in care for them.
Right, exactly. So the fact is, you have a different target audience now. And I think that it speaks to what Ian has been trying to say. How do
Exactly.
you now change the way you market and promote Calypso to
No,
attract those people?
no,
Because
Tim,
you can't
you
get
see,
the
you
people
see,
who've been there before. They're not there anymore,
Exactly.
right? They're
Correct.
and
not
the
there
people
anymore.
that there now, even though Ian tell you about marketing, music is something that just, we don't know what it is. Music have it emotional part in it that will naturally just take people and bring people to it. Calypso, the younger generation, as Baba tell you can market music how you want, unless you're a Marvin Gaye and is a Michael Jackson, where they have all the things to go. You can market Calypso how you want now. Ian, the song is what that can bring people.
No,
And if
that
the
I,
song,
Okay. Listen, Ian and Kelly, I want you all to pause a little. We'll come back to that because that's an important part of the discussion. But I want to bring in Peter now
But,
as
yes.
one of the
but Tim,
younger
Tim,
generation.
I just want to say quickly on this though.
Yes.
I just want to say this quickly on this, right? The same way we're talking about we should market Calypso. Bouillon not already marketing, man. Bouillon just happening.
music
Just
does
keep that in mind.
market itself, boss.
No, that's not
Music does
true.
market
No,
itself.
but that's the point I'm making.
That's
That's the
not true.
point
But
I'm making.
let's hear Peter. That's
It's
not
how you
true.
look at
Let's hear
marketing,
Peter.
how you define
But
marketing, right?
anyway, so
Yeah.
But okay, but Ian, stick up in. I'll come back to you. But I really want to bring Peter in. Peter, you've said, what you think about the topic. So you agree that something is not quite right with Calypso now, right? So you have listened to what others have to say. What is your input at this point?
Okay, so I heard Ghost, I heard Baba, I heard Ian, I heard Wackers. I mean, all of four of them have points. But I for one, think the major problem with Calypso, well, the challenge now with Calypso is the generation now.
Right.
One, you have to entice them to come to your event. Some of them might come not because they want to listen, but because that's where the vibe is. So Ian is correct with his marketing of how you do it. You make them figure that's where I'm supposed to be.
Correct.
Ghost spoke about the lyrics. I always say it's not just the lyrics. I think melody has to go hand in hand with lyrics. For a song to be enticing, it has to have melody. And as I said last week, what's the best way to judge melody is when you can take a song, remove the lyrics, let the brass play the introduction or play the melody line. And if people can move to it just as much as they move when there's lyrics, you have a good melody. And I
Very
use the
correct.
example of Diffie, Erica Wood, the same ones you just spoke about, Tenny Shutong. This song's going for over 50 years and no one cares about the lyrics. And it's just the drive about these songs are just the melody. And the other thing too, well, I think one of the major elements is tempo. It looks like right now the youngsters love tempo.
Yep.
Actually, Wackers tempo in WCK used to be back in the day, maybe around 145. Right now, I think the Booyah is consistently played. I understand around 162, 164. And we may be, I'm not saying we have to, I guess, find a way to get Calypso to be as enticing as the Booyah. I mean, I saw it work this year. I mean, the song of Daddy Chess, it could be played at the Royal Booyah tempo. The groove, I think, was reasonable. So he survived. But outside that, I think, boy, Calypso, we have to get a way to have it be as competitive as possible towards the Booyah. And melody, go set the lyrics, get the lyrics, say what you want, but say it in a way everyone can embrace it, everyone can enjoy it. I mean, yes, we all know Calypso should be about hitting the issues that hurt us, social commentary, but still we have to be very mindful in how we do it, you know. So I mean, but this year as difficult as it was, I think effort was made in the marketing. I mean, we do expect things to happen overnight. A major effort was made marketing. I saw a lot more variety in the topics this year. I don't know if you all agree or disagree. And I don't know, I mean, talking from the end of the executive, we tried incorporating Booyah, we tried incorporating different things in the finals.
That
So,
was
I mean,
good.
so it's just, let's continue on that track and let's see what can happen in the next 2-3 years.
I agree with you, Peter.
Yes, Ian, go ahead.
I totally agree with you. And we have to entice the Gen Z, the young generation. And I think I will commend the executive for marrying, like at least including Booyah as part of the Calypso. We shouldn't be fighting against Booyah. Booyah is ours, Calypso is ours. I think there's a place for Booyah. Booyah can come in and also to entice the young people to come into the to Calypso. The marketing of the Calypso, I think
Ian, before you continue marketing, I just wanted to explain something a little bit no more in depth. When you say to include Bouillon as part of the Calypso, exactly what do you mean?
What I mean by that, and I am going to, Ghost not going to be happy with what I'm going to say. I think right now we should have a Calypso and Bouillon competition. The final should be one round Calypso, one round Bouillon. End of story.
Pretty much what the Junior Calypso and
that is not.
Right.
So Ian telling me that you're not telling me that Bouillon, the well Calypso 3/4 dead already then.
No, but what you
because
will do?
if you bring in the Bouillon and people come for the Bouillon, it's not the Calypso they come for,
Yeah,
they come for the Bouillon. And even the Bouillon they bring in this year, it didn't make a difference, I can tell you that. The Triple K they bring in there, I know about it even more than Peter than that on the executive. Because what that was going on, Peter and them were playing and the only thing, but it didn't bring no extra people in the park. Right, Peter? I know that. It didn't bring any extra people. The Triple K they put there. How many? 10 minutes?
But if I may, you know how we can actually measure that is as Baba was saying, do you have figures for last year? Or at least
that has been the figures, that has been the figures.
Well, yeah. So do you have figures then? Now, can you tell us?
And I can tell you,
so many people came last year, and so many came this year, and there was not a difference. Or if there was a difference, here's why there was a difference.
Tim, there was a little difference because, as I tell you, you had quite a bit of what I hate to say, Dominicans from the foreign that come in. Without them, you would still have the 400, 500. I was in the booth selling tickets. There I am, and I can tell you, most of the people that came in there to that Calypso show were people that actually came in from outside. It wasn't the usual local, I can tell you that. And I didn't see anybody come in there that was really a Triple K person come in there because, I know everybody come to the booth, we see who coming in. Triple K didn't make a difference. And if you're telling me we're going to have a show with half Bouillon, half Calypso, it means Calypso already halfway out of us. That's how I see it, Ian. That's how I see it. I may be wrong, but that's how I'm seeing it.
Okay.
I hear you. You might be very correct that maybe the inclusion of Triple K this year did make a difference to the crowd. But the thing is, you have to try different things and see what works.
Yes, but when you try and it don't work.
But it didn't work in what sense? So right now, we have put the awareness forward that Calypso had Bouillon acts during the show. Let's see what happens next year. Maybe the fact that Triple K came, hold on. Maybe the fact that Triple K came might tell the Triple K vocalist, interesting. You might see one of the artists or the Triple K frontmen in the Calypso competition next year. And the
we are Trilogy,
Yes.
Trilogy was a Calypsonian. I still don't check him as a Calypsonian. But what Ian is saying for the box office, because we used to have a Bouillon thing. Carlin is the Bouillon queen, right? So if you want to have two shows now, a Bouillon show and a Calypso show on the same night, but then again, that is not bringing Calypso any further than where it is. Right now, you have Bouillon bringing in half, and the little bit of calypso coming in, and you might have a bigger booyah crowd there. I can tell you that.
You know,
Yes,
Ras
but
Part of
Kelly,
the crowd
Ras
will be
Kelly,
more booyah than calypso.
if
yeah,
I
but
may, if I may,
Can
Ras Kelly is raising an interesting point, and what was going through my mind is, what are we talking about? I mean, when we talk about the demise or the pending demise of Calypso, if things continue, are we talking now about, as Kelly mentioned, the box office aspect of the show, meaning that Calypso financially is no longer viable, or it is losing its viability financially, versus the art form itself, as to whether the art form itself is suffering that same situation, same condition? Is it dying as well? So we have two things here. Calypso, is it's no, or it appears to be losing its viability on one hand, and on the other hand now, where is it as an art form? Is that to dying? So those are two of the things that's why Kelly is making that point, and I understand what he's saying, that if you begin to booyerize the Calypso competition, then essentially, what are you saying about the state of the art form itself? You know? And I'm not in any
Tim,
way
can I,
suggesting, Ian, that your point is not a good one from a commercial standpoint. But from
Tim,
from the
can I say
standpoint of the
something?
art form,
Tim,
that is something that we also need to consider.
Tim, but
Tim,
okay,
can I
follow.
say something? Hold on, Peter. Can I say
Okay.
something, please?
All right.
Ghost, admittedly, you have identified some of the reasons why Calypso is on the demise. And one of them, you clearly mentioned that it is the economics, the fact that at the box office you're not making it. And you even pointed out reasons. And the reasons you said is that the people, the crowd, the clients, the normal people, you don't see them again. They're either dead, away, or not interested. Baba mentioned economic reasons. So that is a factor. And therein lies the issue of how do we fix it, which is
Exactly.
what we're looking at. And how do we fix it has to include what is happening now to Calypso, the transformation in the fact that it has to attract a client that is new and which is inevitable, which are the young people. And how
Exactly.
do you do that? What Peter is saying are some of the ways in which, and of course, time will determine whether it is a success or not. So we have to look at that carefully and how we say. We cannot be at one and say that it is dying, and we know actually why it is dying, and yet cannot find reasons that are in front of us to fix it, which is what I see as looking elsewhere, looking closer, attracting the young people into it. How do we do that is how we deal with it.
Yes, because
But
what I
what I'm
agree
going to
with
say on
you,
this,
But one moment, Peter's on. Yeah.
like what Ian was saying,
After you'll come afterwards, Baba. Yeah.
have a Booyah Calypso competition.
With
What
a
it does,
booyah calypso, a booyah and calypso.
Booyah and Calypso. So what it does, it causes the young people to come to the park and it
Exactly.
makes them hear Calypso. All of
Exactly.
them may not be drawn to it, but even though it's 20, 30, 40%, that is
Exactly.
a few more people that will be at the Calypso show because they
So
have
now
been
we're
Exactly.
talking
exposed.
about the show and the attendance, but the art form, like Tim telling you, that doesn't make the art form come back alive, you know. The booyah people come, they enjoy the show, the vibe. But then the art form itself. Now, Peter, you in that for a while. Wackers there. You know that clique we used to have in Calypso with Signman, Tony, Vado. You know that clique?
Yes, yes.
Wackers, you know that. You seen that clique there now? You
Yeah.
don't see now they diminishing?
Well,
About three
I
of them that
mentioned that.
about three
You
of them
talk
that
about
remain there now, you know.
They're getting old.
Oh well, that is just a snapshot of what that going on.
Yeah, but
I'm
then
just telling you.
that's exactly the
Yeah.
point.
Okay.
That's
Baba,
exactly the point.
Baba, you will come.
just
Who was
emphasize
making
my
the point? Was it Ian or Baba?
yeah,
But I was
Clement.
making a point, but Papa put his
no,
hand up first.
me.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we have to be careful here. Whatever we're proposing doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. It doesn't mean that we have to do that and that will kill that. I think what we have to do is have a bouillon of ideas to actually get the calypso moving. I'm not sure I agree with Ian's point, but I would like to try it. We need to try things, and when you're trying, you don't expect it to work one time. A gardener cannot just plant a thing and turn his back and it's good. You have to give it some time, you have to fertilize, you have to water, you have to do whatever. And that means that we have to market it properly. One of the key things that Calypso has to do now is it cannot close the door at Ash Wednesday and wait for 2 months before Carnival next year to move.
That is very correct.
What Calypso has to do now, I don't know if when Calypso was talking to Peter, he tell him that there needs to be work immediately to address some of those things. And an idea is one idea of how bouillon can be mixed with Calypso. But let me just step back quickly, because you know, Tim, I'm a historian kind of fellow nowadays. You know, it's actually Carnival that push bouillon. Wackers, you can remember when I used to run the road parade, right?
Bouillon
And
push
when
bouillon.
WCK was coming in. No. Calypso push WCK, right? WCK push bouillon, and now we have a new generation. So now I think it can be a way, we can examine ways how bouillon can push Calypso. And it doesn't necessarily mean just through the shows, right? But one of the interesting things I saw this year is when, what's his name? Triple K frontman.
Benji.
Come on, what's his name again? Benji. Jokingly in his presentation start to sing a calypso. And of course, we can see the kind of thing, because he started singing calypso and you have to agree, boy, yeah, you really can't sing calypso. But it would be quite interesting if somebody like Benji, not singing soca bouillon, you know, Benji on the stage singing calypso will bring people the same way as just having a bouillon section of the competition. You check what I'm saying? There needs to be different ways of thinking, how we can integrate them.
Most bouillon performers cannot sing calypso.
Well, Trilogy.
Bouillon vocalist. It's only Shelly. No Shelly bringing melody into bouillon, you know. Bouillon don't have melody, you know. It's only now Shelly bringing melody into bouillon, because bouillon is like a chant.
Ras Kelly, yeah, and bouillon had melody at the time of CK, man.
No, well, that different thing. In old time, old time thing had melody. Yeah, the one that we know. Now, something I want to say, and we know that in the Calypso, those of us that in it, Dominicans had like the Calypso competition more than they had like Calypso. Peter there, his father will tell you, after the competition done, we can go everywhere around the country. People outside, nobody coming inside the place, right, Peter? I know that well. They tried that how many times? Peter, father, and Bull end up in problem because they go out where it was in a Grand Four area in them. First of all, when you go to those places, outside have a crowd, inside have no crowd. After 2 shows, they couldn't pay swinging stars and they pull up. They go to Grand Bay, even Wackers and them tent. Wackers is part of the tent. People outside, people at the Calypso competition is what people had like. And after the competition done, people done with Calypso. I can tell you over the years I did.
But what I can tell you, Ras Kelly, is that is again come down to marketing. There was once that the Calypso had done a competition where another Calypso sing another Calypsonian song.
The marriage, people bring that.
That brought in people. You just have to know how to tweak, how to get people interest. You can't just after Calypso competition just go and sing a normal Calypso. It wouldn't work.
Ian, the marriage people bring that in. It worked for 2 years and it don't work again. That's why they stop it. Okay. It didn't work again after that. I can tell you.
Gentlemen, I want to just button in and you know throw something out to the panel. I think the idea tonight is to examine where we are, or where the Calypso is, right? What's the state of Calypso at this point in time, and whether we're sufficiently concerned about where it is to think that it is necessary to do something about that, right? In other words, we looking at the diagnosis of the ailments that is affecting Calypso, and then we're looking at the prognosis. Is it something that can be cured, or is Calypso going to die anyway? So we send Calypso for palliative
He's
care.
not dying,
Wait. Just now, so right. So the bottom line is, if we're saying that, okay, we're in trouble, I think we should also be concerned about, well, do we just give up and say, well, Calypso's dead? Or what can we do to get Calypso out of, the situation in which it is? Okay, and I think, Peter, maybe the Calypso Association, I mean, these discussions are useful. They're bringing out ideas, in a very general, unstructured sense, right? But maybe the Calypso Association needs to consider something like a SWOT analysis, examining, really doing something structured and definite. Bring people together and have a consultation, a session, a workshop, whatever you call it, or maybe more than one, and apply the SWOT analysis to the situation. Examine the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, the threats, and come up with some concrete ideas. Bring Ian and other people with good ideas, Baba and Ras Kelly, and come up with some concrete ideas as to what we need to do. Okay, first of all, we need to determine where it is that we want to go with Calypso. What is wrong with Calypso now, and what do we want to do about that, where we want to go, and then get some ideas that will address, the situation in a very structured way. But if we go about just doing little things here and there that we've been doing over the years, I don't think we're going to get anywhere. I just want to say this now before I forget. But we can always talk about that later on. Yeah.
I want to add, though.
Yes.
One other thing I want to add, and I think it's something I'm going to be very Calypso and the management of Calypso, which is the executive, I think should be completely different. And I said that to say we should have person that the administrator of Calypso, the executive, should not be Calypsonian. Or they can be
I not on the administration again, but we had that and that didn't work, and it will not work now.
Yeah, but then let me
But
tell
it wasn't done properly, Kelly.
It wasn't done properly.
And even this year, even this
wasn't
year.
done properly, Kelly.
Let me tell you what I
I've
mean.
never, they still competing.
You see, Calypso executive. I've been dealing with the executive for many years.
Wasn't done.
They are very unstructured. There's hardly any structure. I don't know if currently the new executive is putting some structure. Things have been hyping. We need to have a little more structure. We need to probably get some people that have a little more understanding of leadership, and to go into Calypso to get it.
So Peter and them not good then. Peter and them not good.
No, but let us hear. But let us hear. Ian is making a solid point, because I have felt that way myself too. But let us hear from the rest of the panel what they think about this suggestion.
Let me come in there. Ian, what Ian have said there is something I have always been saying. It is two different things. One is about the management of the art form.
Precisely.
The other one is the participation of the artist in the art form. Two different things. And I agree with Ian on that point, because what I've noticed is that it's rather what Kelly may think, because in his times he could argue that probably it was going good because it was just going because of one.
No, what are you trying to show me? If you are Calypsonian and you have got management skills, that's what you should telling me there,
Well, Kelly, let Wackers finish his point now. You can come in afterwards.
But it is proven. It has proven itself today. I mean, notwithstanding the new committee.
On Peter, you put in that blows there, not on me,
let us listen.
Guys,
listen.
But Peter not a Calypsonian. Peter can be a management.
Speaking, we listening. When we speak, listen.
Yeah.
What I see happening, and I've always said it. I've always said that people competing in the Calypso should not be on management. One.
Exactly.
I believe there are two separate things. You cannot tell me you raise the price of Calypso competition. And you competing for that price you just raised. Go in any business place and any entity where you have a business and ask me whether the workers or the people and them can support that, whether that is right in the first place. That cannot be. I also believe that more time should be given in what Ian is right. We should identify people that have the skills of developing Calypso as a business, because that is what it has to be.
100%.
Getting paid for it and doing things that are right. And
Correct.
Peter, that is not no insult to you because you are new. Give you a chance. Probably you have that skills. And probably I'm just identifying things that you should do. But Peter, it cannot be right that people on the committee doesn't know how to develop a plan for I'm not saying that they do. I'm saying it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be that people on management committee of Calypso doesn't know how to develop a medium-term plan for Calypso within the next 6 months and show it to the public and have it discussed. I'm just saying. This is what I believe. So I think Ian is on the right track.
Okay.
No,
Definitely.
no. Let me just say, just for this year,
Let's Peter.
Okay,
just for
Jablan.
this year, just
Can I
for
say
this year,
something? Okay.
Peter and them hire a partner, like they're saying, to help in the management. On the finals, when we're looking for the person, that same person, airport, things going wrong, and the person airport in Viva.
But Ras Kelly, that doesn't
That's
mean
the
the
wrong
idea. The idea is
That's
a
the
bad
wrong
one. It
person.
may not have been executed properly. The person who
Because
was chosen,
we may not,
may-
but
no,
they
the person,
get somebody like
yeah, but
Ian say.
the person who was chosen may not have been the right choice. But the idea
Right.
itself doesn't mean
This is
the
the
idea is a
wrong
bad one.
person. And I, as a elderly, need that to come and put things in place for the show to start. When Peter passed, he couldn't even stop his running on stage.
Listen, my
We never
thought on
said
that,
that,
and
Tim.
my position
And
on
don't
that
tell me
is,
Peter and them
Tim,
can manage.
yeah, my position on that,
Tim.
personally, just let me say that quickly. It is not that I do not think that Calypsonians cannot be part of the management team, but I do not think competing Calypsonians,
That's what we're talking about.
should be
Competing
part of the
Calypsonian.
management team. You
That's
see,
what we're
like
talking
you,
about.
Kelly, where you not
Competing
competing,
Calypsonian talk
and
about.
you have the
Competing
experience.
and
No, well, let me just make this point. I have no problem, but I do not think that the president who it should the competing Calypsonian. In other words, I do not think. Sure, you can have your structure, but in terms of managing the Calypso show, I do not think the president, a competing Calypsonian, should be the one heading the management committee. I do not think competing Calypsonian should be
Totally
part of the
agree.
management committee.
I
Right?
totally, and if I have to give
You
away
want
my
me to show you a
personal,
reality? You want me to show you a reality? After that, I'll shut up because all you talking management. In
I
the
don't think
heyday
you
of
shut up.
Calypso, when Calypso was moving, sometime all 9 members of the executive on the finals, and it was working.
Here's the thing, right? When we talk about
No.
managing Calypso, we're not talking about managing the Calypso show. You understand? I think what needs to be done, as I said earlier, is that Calypso should be seen, management of Calypso should be seen as an ongoing process. And I totally agree with Wackers. There should be like a short-term and a long-term, a medium-term and a short-term plan, and it should be very clear. There should be roles and strategies employed. There should be people put in certain positions. So if that is done, the show itself is a separate thing, right? Now, whether people can compete or not is depending on the constitution of the Calypso Association. And again, if we step back, remember that wasn't so. When Shaky was singing, it was the Carnival committee that was having managing Calypso. And there was this big break, spearheaded by my boy Hicksy and others, that put us here. No, I don't think we can go and just shift everything. I think we have to take it from where we are now. And while I agree that we should put a stronger management protocol for Calypso, I don't think we should exclude the Calypsonians, because the way Calypso is now, a Calypsonian is not going to want to be outside of the ambit of what's going on. So I think there needs to be a combination. I think there needs to be some kind of, well, first of all, the Calypso Association needs to revisits its constitution to determine if there needs to be changes in terms of the show and all those kind of things. But that to me is separate from managing Calypso from show to show or from year to year. That's my take. And Kelly, respect, you know what I mean? But other people he's not dumping on you. He's just talking about Calypso.
No, it just so happened management. When you're talking management, remember I'm part of management, so I cannot not be personal, you know. It's me that was there, and I know what it was, and I know you see what we don't understand in a lot of things people trying to tell you to do. We try a lot of them and it don't work. Even in Georgian, people come and tell us, put a judge for melody, put one for lyrics. We try that and it's chaos.
That cannot work.
People, what people are suggesting and we trying. Yeah. Put people that are not interested in Calypso. Boss, let me tell you, when I take over Calypso, we had CDC, we had COC, not CDC. And you know what was happening until I step in and tell them that is bullshit? CDC, COC used to be by the gate and get receipts. 25% of gross was going to them, you know, until I come in and I say, hey, Lord, stay away from Calypso. We don't want that. I will pay all you or make a contribution to Carnival. That is what happens when you put outside people in your thing. And I had to tell them, stay away from Calypso.
No, but
and
Kelly,
yes, Ian.
Kelly, we're not saying the Calypsonians cannot take part, or people that are part of Calypso and love Calypso. What we're saying, active members that actively taking part in the competition should not be at least the top management.
That's
the
right.
President, the treasurer,
Yeah.
those people. You ought to have, first of all, the time, the concentration, and everything towards the Calypso. And what we are doing, we're trying to figure out ways to improve the Calypso Association now and the Calypso going forward. What happened in your time was in the time when the heydays of Calypso. But right now, we're looking at how can we improve the Calypso going forward. And that's why I brought that up as a suggestion. We need to, we're not saying Peter can be part of the Calypso. Peter not competing in the Calypso.
Well, yeah, it just so happens so. It just so happens so.
Yeah, but what we're saying is say, if you want people to concentrate, rather than concentrating on their songs or what they're going to do, because to me, from my vantage point, what I'm saying, after Calypso final finish, Calypso finish until next year, you know.
But it's not because of management, you know. Like I tell you a while ago, people love the Calypso competition. Everything else we try out of season.
People used to love the Calypso competition.
Okay, guys, let me
even in those days, after the competition, no matter what you try, Kashaku, anywhere,
okay.
it never works.
Hey, guys, let me say this. We have a situation where we agree that Calypso needs some attention. It's in a place where if we do not give it some attention now, it could continue to deteriorate and we may end up in a much worse situation that we can do nothing about. Precisely. So right now, I think we need to be open. I think the Calypso Association has to be open to ideas, you know, because no matter how many bright people you have in there, all of the ideas do not reside in the Dominica Calypso Association. So it has to be open to ideas from other people who have a genuine interest and concern about the art form. And that is how I think it is going to move forward. So that is why I think, and I'm saying that again, that the Dominica Calypso Association has to open up to input from the public and people who have something to contribute and a concern, so that they can get, you know, a wide range of ideas and suggestions, you know, as to how Calypso can move forward and put a serious structure in place to ensure that those things are considered properly, you know, and, you know, something comes out of it. That is my take, you know, but the association has to be open.
Okay. I can get a little break now.
Sure, Peter, the floor is yours. The mic is yours.
So I hear all of you. Now, the point Ian made about that maybe the competing Calypsonians shouldn't be part of the executive. For that exact reason, that's why we outsource somebody to assist in the management of the show. Because take, for example, in the semifinals, you had Peter on stage playing, you had Caressa competing, Daddy Chess competing, Mystery competing, Royet, Bingo, and Liberator. You had 7 of the 9 on stage. Is it fair to have them working on that night? I guess that's debatable. But that was the situation we were faced with at the quarterfinals. Semi-finals, a couple necks broke, but Peter was still on stage. Caressa competing, Daddy Chess, Mystery, and Roret were on stage. So that's 5. That left the workload on the rest. And even in the finals, you had Peter on stage, Caressa, Daddy Chess. Well, 3 of us. You know? So, I mean, I'm not sure if I support what Ian is saying, but if we go in that way, we have to outsource the help like what we did. I heard Ghost talk about Viva. I was on stage playing. I am not sure if what he said is truth. I don't know. I don't know.
Or you nearly killed Angleton. Or you nearly killed Angleton.
I don't know. I'm not
You
sure.
on stage what I know, you nearly killed Angleton and Sheba.
but what I can say that the Karim Giz guy, we know he does prime.
Can I
Actually he worked with the DDA and well Dominica Festivals Commission this year. So we figure he would be a good man to assist in helping us run the show. But I think
why you didn't hire me? Why you didn't hire me instead?
Guys, let us move away from personalizing
I
this
think
thing and
we
look at
see-
the ideas.
No, wait.
I think we
Tim.
see the promise in the things that we tried. And if we continue on that line, I think we can see improvement in years to come. I mean, we tried the Buyo, we tried incorporating, if you have a Viva band, come to Calypso after for the second half.
That was excellent.
You get a percentage off, you come into the park. I cannot tell you how many people came in after Viva. I'm not in a position to say it right now. But we didn't see none. We didn't see none. Huh?
We didn't see none.
Well, maybe you might be correct, Boss, but you have to try something. Yep. You have to try.
No, in the demise of Calypso, one thing we hiding away from. You see Ian there? Or you never hear them say that the judge is killing Calypso.
We come into that. We come into that, Ras Kelly.
On one hand, you cannot be saying we're looking at, well, I say that for everybody, that we're looking at how to solve a problem, identify some of the causes, and at the same time, when we look at solutions, people saying it didn't work before. What didn't work before didn't work before. In other words, I am not. You cannot judge me from the past. What we talk about, we say the management structure, and somebody, Baba, said it clearly, the management structure, the management has to be looked at, identifying the right people. In this time, we're not talking about the past. We're talking about the changes that happen in Calypso and ways in which we can look at. And one of the reasons, including what we're going to mention, is that the management structure has to be looked at more closely in terms of identifying the right people for the right roles. Now, let's look at the other shows that are working. Let's deviate a little, not much. The DOC or the DFC, all the other shows that are making it, which are being charged so much money, as Ian said, 140 to go to Viva, another 200 to go there. My children came here. They went to Sunrise. 200. You know, they went to it. It is under the umbrella of the DFC, a management that is an example of a management structure that is working, that has taken everything under its umbrella and worked. What Ian talk about marketing is done under the DFC, and those shows works. Shouldn't we use them as an example of things that are working instead of we trying to look at, trying to protect our own individual self? We're not getting personal there. You know about personal. You know about the past. We're looking at something that is dying and how we can develop it.
Very correct.
Okay. Yes, Ian, you have the mic.
Yeah, very correct. So I totally endorse what Wackers is saying, and as he's rightfully saying, is areas we believe we can improve or change the way is Calypso is going down the road. And I kind of support that Peter and them are trying different things, which will something will stick. Rather than going the same walking the same road over and over, you have to try something. And I think at the point, I think putting a manager of the show was a good idea. And I think the person can do a good idea in that show. I mean, Karim is a customer of the handling shows. But my idea, like as Peter said, a quarterfinals, when 7 or 8 of the 9 executive competing, what do you think? What do you think the issue is? You understand? It's what happened back in the day, happened back, and it's not bringing down the previous management or anything like that. I'm saying now, where we are now, we have to make changes if we don't want Calypso to die.
Well, what I want to say to that is that things have to be given time to work, and there's no shame, there's no problem in redoing something that was done before and doing it a new way. And when it comes to marketing, especially in relation to the shows Wackers mentioned there for DFC, we will notice there's one key factor throughout: use of social media.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Calypso is doing this. And that is not to be done for the show. It should be done for Calypso. And I think that is one area that Calypso needs to examine. How do they use the Facebooks, the Twitters, the whatever, Instagram, to push Calypso to this generation we're trying to target? Because
Peter,
you
that's
cannot
true.
talk about
Peter, that's
using
true.
DBS and so. DBS
Peter, that's
is to
true.
go to the generation basically which is off target. We should try to Calypso would have to incorporate social media as an integral part of the marketing strategy.
Right.
Okay, so it speaks to the question of marketing again. All right, which Ian came up with, and apparently it has some support. Diabla is not too keen on that. I mean, Ras Kelly. The Diabla is a thing between Ras Kelly and me.
No, Tim,
not too keen on that.
Tim.
But just not Ras Kelly. But it seems to me that okay, you may have your own views, point of view, but generally, I think the whole idea of marketing or improving the product, the Calypso product, so that quite apart from getting it out there and trying to entice people and promoting it, you also want to improve the product so that when people come to a Calypso show, they know that they'll go. And it speaks to a point I think that somebody was making earlier on, that somebody's coming to the show not necessarily because they like Calypso, but because the show has something that attracts them, that appeals to them, that is entertaining. So maybe in addition to the marketing of the show, which is an important thing from the feedback it has gotten from the panel, the organizers, the Calypso Association, needs to be looking at how are we going to improve that product so the show becomes itself, an attraction as opposed to just Calypso.
Okay, so I'll say in defense to a certain extent of the executive this year, in terms of marketing, I think we went the extra mile to attempt. I can't tell you how it worked. We had a guy coming up as vigilante to every practice, filming a performance, asking the Calypsonian after when I say performance practice, filming the practice, after the practice, he'll make them do a short video promoting the show. I think for the quarterfinals, we had a video of practically every Calypsonian out. We used DNO, Dominica Breaking News. We tried a lot of different platforms, social media-wise, to try to get the show out there. Venue was changed. We attempted VIP, elevated seating, asking people to come after Viva. to get a reduced price on the ticket. So the executive tried things. But what I want to say is, regionally, Calypso is under pressure. 3 years ago, I can tell you, Dominica's Calypso finals had a bigger crowd than Trinidad Calypso finals. Trinidad went the extra mile and they got Marshall
to come back. Yeah.
to come back just to try to bring back the crowd. The crowd came back. He defended. It was not as big, but still had crowd. He was out this year, and the crowd was not back to what it was, but a lot smaller than 2 years, the last 2 years. So, but just the inclusion of Marshall made a difference. So that's why.
So they really go to see Marshall, not the Calypso Marshall. When they take him off it back to the little bit.
Well, he had a great song too, you know. He had a very good song. He deserved his song and everything, I think. You know, so I mean, there are entertainers, there are Calypsonians, there are people that are popular, people that are very popular. Right now, the boy artists seem to be the more popular entertainers. Nothing wrong in trying to see what you can do, expose them to Calypso. You never know, because of the exposure, maybe you might see a little boy, Benji, in the competition next year.
Good point.
So let's just wait. Let's just see what was tried this year. Let's see what can come out next year. What I can tell you, I know Rio has a very interesting Calypso concept in my studio right now as we speak. He's just waiting for the correct time to know when he should take a chance in Calypso. You know, so I mean, yes, we're going through some challenging times, but with the right moves and a little patience, I think Calypso can be back on stream. Let's not song like Calypso is dead. As I say, there's light at the end of the tunnel. I like the changes I saw this year. I like variety of topics. Besides the little judging saga, I think it was a good season.
So tell me, what marketing Daddy Chess do?
What marketing Daddy Chess did?
For what?
For his song. Music is a thing. When it hitting, you know. Music is a type of feeling. If the music good, it marketing itself. Right? You don't have to go and do anything. It will just take off. If the music not good, it's not good. So one of the things we have to do, we have to try to get our writers to do certain things. And probably we have to change the criteria so the judges on them in themselves. I can tell you the judges, 50% of Calypso going down is Ian and them that causing that, and the public will tell you that, right, Ian?
But for Ras Kelly to say the drop in Calypso is because of the judges, and that is
part of it, not the whole thing. Part of it.
That's false. Because if you
will defend you.
No. If you go back to how many years, most of the crowd agree with the top 4 places in the Calypso. Majority of the crowd agree with the king, the first, the second, and the third in the finals. That has been consistent. You'll have a few people that supporting some people that believe that the person should have won, and so you will always find that in Calypso. So, but to say the judges are the one responsible, I think this is incorrect.
Sometimes it even going before that, from the quarterfinals, semifinals, sometimes that's always happening, not only in the finals.
Okay, guys, I don't want this to devolve into, you know, a thing between Ras Kelly and Ian, but what I want us to do is
not conversation, you want to run away from Ian?
No. But I do not want it to become a debate. I don't want it to become a debate between you and Ian. I want us to look at
that's a conversation, Tim, not a debate.
But I want us to look at the issue of judging, or the matter, the subject of judging itself, you know, overall. Now we know that this year there was some controversy with the judging, right? That it caused one of the judges to go public, you know, and openly state his disagreement with the judging of the competition with regard to the winner.
Mr. was no judge, boy.
Well, he was a judge. He may not.
It's just contamination
He
among
may
them
not have
fellas.
fit your
It's true.
definition of judge, but he was in fact a judge on the panel of judges. But I would like Ian, right, to give us, because not long ago Peter told me the Calypso Association doesn't know very much about that, but he'll have an opportunity tonight to tell us whether in fact he received the report from the judges. But I want Ian to sort of lay out the scenario for us as to what happened. I do not want to take the opportunity. I don't want to do it myself for fear of not accurately representing what went down, that night.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
to start with, let me just say, fundamentally, what the judge did should have never happened. And I personally think it's unethical. And if you actually listen to what happened on the night, it's actually extremely far from the truth. So to go in and make a statement like that after you agree to it by signing to it, and there was a lot of inconsistency in what he was saying. Now let me bring back to this to the process. When you judge a calypso final or semi-finals, what happens? Everybody judge, they put the tally, it go in the system. Then the judges retire to look at the overall outcome. Now, from what this judge is saying, that when they retired, they realized two judges were off in terms of their scoring for a certain calypsonian and so forth. So what is normal for a chief judge to do is to tell the two judges that are basically, if 7 people have a calypso 1, 2, and 3, and you have him 7 or 6, something wrong. Verify if your points, you make proper points, you don't have any errors in your points. That is normal. Now, if after you do that, the person say, "Oh, I made an error, I make this and this, I do not believe," then that's taken into consideration. That's nothing wrong about that. You can't just pull out something from a computer and then say, "This is the final," and don't review what went on. No, the fact about judging is that, and the key thing of being a judge, they can say what you want, whether you are a music professional or whether you are this. It's whether you come in as a judge with biasness. That is the key things. And whether you are really understand the calypso, because you have to go through some workshop and training, and you have to go through the process. Now, it is always said that if you have an issue with what happened on the night, you discuss it in here. You can decide, okay, well, I am not signing off on it, and because I do not agree with what happened. But you cannot sign off and in agreement and go wait for the first opportunity to go on the media to make a whole thing about that. I will say he was never a judge. He should have never been a judge, and anybody trying to come on the panel as a judge to do that should never be a judge. You understand? And I would say, from my vantage point, in general, I do not believe people come deliberately biased. No. There are some persons that have their internal bias, which you expect. But when you have a certain criteria, and what we always say, you judge a calypso, you judge on the night, not what you hear on the radio, not what you hear on the CD, not what you hear in your car. It's on the night. And
Okay.
and continue.
Yes.
Continue. Yes.
No. I mean, if you're continuing, finish. I
No,
want to
make
follow
your
up.
point. Make your point. Sure.
No, I mean, I was going to ask you a question, not a point. I was going to ask you to give us. I know you. I mean, you cannot divulge, too much detail on what actually transpired based on what you have done. I do not know to what extent you can do that. But what I'd like you to do first is to give us an understanding of, because you say essentially the judge should never have done what he did, right? And you also said that what was relayed or related to the public was totally different from what actually transpired,
Very correct.
right. So can you give us an understanding, say, in a general sense, of what happened versus what that particular judge reported?
Well, without saying too much, because I was not at the at the show. I did not judge the show, and I was not part of the panel that retired and so forth.
Right.
But what I can tell you in general, the process is such that after you complete, you go, you and the judges coordinator, she will reveal the scores and will reveal, and then we will see, because in reality, if you're looking at a show, all 9 judges, especially the top 4, if 7 people have someone number 1, and then 2 have them 8 and 9, something wrong. So you have to ask that person to review your score. It's part of it. You review. Did you look at to see if you have an error, and are you confident is that way that person and thing. So that is normal. Although the system will eliminate one, the system will eliminate the one,
the
but
highest
one
and
will
lowest,
win.
right? The highest and lowest.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but
okay.
What happened is normal practice, and if the judge in particular was so against what was happening, is at that moment you make your point and you say exactly what you want to say. You do not you do not go through the process, sign the whole thing, and then go on the media and say it's affecting your conscience. I think it just.
But one of the things that came out, though, Ian, is that that particular judge was saying, well, that there was this case where 2 of those judges gave scores to a particular calypsonian that appeared to be off compared to the rest of the judges, right? Off meaning that there was a disparity in terms of the average of the right, and what those 2 calypsonians, those 2 judges scored, right? That is what he was saying. No, that was true, right?
But you should ask him.
I'm asking. Was that true?
You should ask him. Yes, that's true. But you should ask him
in a
who are
case
the 2
like
judges.
this, in a case like this, what happens? You say the chief judge asks those judges to reassess their scores. Is that it?
No, look at your scoring to see if there's any errors. Because I mean, remember, and that's one of the things we've been telling the Calypso Association.
So Ian, the error would be what in terms of your tabulation, your plus minus?
It could be that. We have had the situation. So because if you off that much, we have to ask you to verify. And one of the things we've tell Calypso Association, let's improve our technology. That pencil and paper and adding by calculator. Let's have tablets for each of the judges. When they put in their score, you will not get an error like that. We have found a number of errors when we tabulating because of when it's transposing from the paper to the computer. When we think it's a 5, is a 3 that there. When we think it's a 7, is a 9 that there. So we've been encouraging the Calypso Association, give the people tablets, so that for sure we do not have that issue. So the chief judge role is to ensure to tell the person that are off, look at your scores, check, make sure is that what, if there's any errors and so forth, and if you're comfortable with what you have. You understand? No, and that is the normal.
So Ian, if the same person that have you down at 7 or 9, when they tabulate or they count their things, everything correct in terms of the additions and everything correct, you still asking the person to look at their scores to see if they have to change something?
No. Remember, it's a conversation, and if you tabulate and you everything correct and you feel that is what you saw on the night, that's what goes in.
But that's what I expect.
Tim, can I comment?
Yes, go ahead, Wackers. Go ahead, Wackers. Yes.
Tim, what Ian say and what Kelly is contesting there is very interesting. It doesn't tell you about the end result. It tells you about the judging. It tells you about the selection of the judges. If it is that among the 9, 7 people were almost the same, and then 2 out of the blue came out with different results, it's almost like a juror system.
You're extracting that, Wackers. You're taking that off.
Hold on. What I'm saying is, it doesn't tell you, it tells you something about the 2 people, their selection. Who are they and on what criteria were they selected? So therefore, telling you that it goes back to the judge's selection. Who it is that you select to be a judge? What are the criteria upon which a judge is selected? Where did they come from? You know what I mean? What the guy did was probably something we should look at and say, why did this guy do that? Why did he go there and say that? Why was he saying that at the end of something that he endorsed? Why? So therefore, probably he himself should be looked at, upon which, what selection, what caused him to be there? How did you select him? So therefore, we need to look at the criteria upon which the judges themselves are selected, and that is the issue.
What is important, and maybe the Calypso Association executive will tell you. You'd be very, very surprised who are the judges, who are the two judges that made that error. So maybe the Calypso executive have the files and have and it will be very interesting. The two judges that had the off.
Tell us their name. Tell us their name.
Ras Kelly, we want to give
Peter.
Yeah, we want to give Peter. We want to give Peter an opportunity. Peter, I'm not saying that you have to divulge information you're not supposed to, but I'm giving you an opportunity to weigh in as a member of the executive of the Dominica Calypso Association. Last time you were on, you said you didn't have any information at that time. This time, I am made to believe that you have information. The Dominica Calypso Association. So give us, the position of the DCA on what happened.
Okay, Tim, I'm going to be as honest can be.
Okay, good, honest. Go ahead, honest. I like that, honest.
We had a Calypso show. It took something like an hour and a half for the results to come. The results came. We had a winner, a first runner-up, second runner-up, third runner-up. And then a couple of days after, I heard the rumor on the radio. If a report was given to Calypso from the judges, Peter Lita doesn't know about it yet.
That's it?
Well, you know.
So my question is, do you know the two Calypsonians that are the off?
The two judges?
The judges there.
The show still.
I heard some names on the road.
Not on the road. Do you know?
Okay, tell us what you on the road. Tell us what you on the road. Be honest.
I will not talk about. I will not mention names.
Were you saying that you have not received any information yet as the association? Or is it you or the association, to your knowledge?
But if the association receives something, I don't know about it.
Okay, all right. Okay,
but Ian, as a judge, you didn't judge on the night.
No, I didn't judge for the whole year. I actually recused myself for this year for the same reason that we have Calypsonian that are on the executive. I think and when I think it was personal, so they came up with some decision. I felt that was very personal and was admit. So I decided I will recuse myself for the year to see if the executive that competing will progress as far as they believe that they will. So you see, Calypso don't take Calypso very serious to the two-hearted, and when they become executive, they start looking at which judge them this way, which judge them that way, and that's what I think. And then they start thinking, well, maybe we should change things to if, and that's why I strictly, one of the reasons I feel, if they could look at their as executive and say, well, boy, that judge didn't judge me well, I don't think I should fire that judge and get another judge. I think we will get to that point one day.
It's obvious from everything that's said and what was said before that there is a problem with the selection of the judges. I think the point that was made is that all judges don't have the same technical expertise and skills to judge properly. Because really, if 7 saying something and 2 saying something else, there is a problem. So
no, that's why you have 9, you know. That's why you have 9.
Hold on, I'll tell you. So the question is, how can we get 9 good judges that we have confidence in, so that when a situation like that happens, we will say, okay, the person that's their opinion. That I agree that they can stand by their position, as opposed to watching it and saying, well, other judge. So I think the first issue is getting a panel of judges that is acceptable to both the Calypsonians and the public. And I know that's difficult, but I think that's where we have to go.
I think
Okay, now,
I think
yeah, okay, Ian, yes, go
let
ahead
me answer
quickly.
that. Let me answer that. Let me make 2
Mhm.
points. One of the issues that you have with judging, especially all the shows, all the names are
I'm
put
not getting
in
any reaction,
a
Jay.
bag and dipped. And you find on the finals, I think majority of the judges were new judges on the finals because of that same process. Now the
Wow.
Calypso executive said they want to go for that dipping because they felt they don't want anybody the biasness. But there's also some thoughts of whether you should have a certain level of senior judging on your panel on the finals, rather than and you could have a situation where all the judges could have been new judges, and that happened on the finals this year because majority of them was saying. Now, as to the selection, let me give you a little idea of the selection. The selection of judges go through a process. When you decide you want to be a judge, you have to go through a process. There's what you call there's some workshops that you do, and then more than one workshop, and then you have to do shadow judging for a while, and then you review your scores against the finals and see how we're doing. So most of the judges that we put on the panels went through that process and were successful through that process. Now, as I said, judges, you're supposed to come in unbiased. When you come to judges, main thing is not how good you are, is whether if you're biased, it will show. And it will show in your results that you bias. And when Peter gets the result of the finals, you will see the biasness. You understand what I'm saying? But my point is, there's a proper process in getting judges. And some will fall through the crack, like everything else. But I do not believe is the process that's the problem. I also believe that as I said, the dipping of judges, especially for finals, and ensuring that, and with the risk of having 90% of your judges as new judges, or maybe 100% new judges, that's a risk. Whether the Calypso Association executive will say, well, okay, it's 9, let's 4 be senior judges, and let's dip for the additional 5. You understand? That is something that they probably need to look at.
Ian just said about the selection process,
Right.
which I agree, which is fair, which is
Right.
transparent. It is obvious that there is an area which they didn't look at, and that is political partisan.
Well,
There are some judges there that are obviously political partisan. I don't call him no name. And it was reflected this year. And that is all I'll say.
Okay, so what I want to do now is
Yeah.
to take the opportunity to have
Question, Tim. Tim,
just
wait a
just
minute. The
Baba, let me
question I
just
wanted
make
to
this.
ask.
Let me just make this point, and then you'll continue. I'm saying I want to take this opportunity for each of you to give whatever thoughts you may have, whatever suggestions you may have to the association as to what can be done to improve the system of judging and to improve the quality of judging itself. And Baba, while you're at the microphone, after you say what you have to say, you can address that.
Well, basically, there's a question. I just wanted to clarify something. You're saying that there's a system of shadow judging this year, Ian, and
Yes.
I assume that these people, the shadow judges, had judged 1 or 2 years before, or was it just 1 year?
You have to shadow judge for about a year, 2 years before you are officially placed on a panel. So you have to go through the workshop, and there's continuous workshop every year. The judges go through some workshop refreshers and so forth. But the shadow judge, and then the chief judge, the coordinator, and the assistant chief judge will sit and look at all the shadow judges, all the new judges, and see how they score it. And then if after we assess what your score, you are not up to par, you are actually have to go back through the process of more workshop and more shadow judging. And then when you have gotten up to par, then we put you on the panel. But if you come in with an agenda, no matter how good you are, because you would have judged and we would have seen how you're judging, then you would realize then something off. And we will see it when we have the post-mortem, we can see if somebody is being biased.
Okay, so you're saying this is something that should continue. It should
Oh
become
yes,
an integral part of the
Of
judging
course,
process,
of
yes,
right?
course,
it's going to, of
of
course.
course.
Yes, yeah.
But Tim,
Yes, Robert.
since I can begin the mic now,
Yes.
I would want to suggest that that process of shadow judging needs to be intensified and extended. So probably it shouldn't be just like 1 year. It should be probably around 2 or 3 years. So that means that you would probably have a wider pool of judges, and you'll be able to select. And basically, let's say you're a shadow judge or a judge trainee. Basically, you would be scored, and the people who achieve the first three, number 1, 2, 3, is what would be considered to add to the judging pool. But then the question of political bias is something else in Dominica, because the politics in Dominica has intensified. That's one of the difference between before and now. And I mean, people really become enemies because of politics. And I don't know how we're going to deal with that aspect. But certainly, Dominica has become very politicized, and that is a factor as well. So I don't know.
Okay.
I think we
Baba,
need to
that's
watch
okay,
it.
Baba, that's okay. Kelly, I can call Kelly because Kelly, I know Kelly has a show, right? No, I'm saying, Baba, there's a difference between that person and somebody else who just supports a party. That is two different kind of people you're talking about. When you screen somebody who wants to become a judge, you cannot choose a Kelly. You cannot choose a Kelly because Kelly, I just call your name. I hope you don't vex.
I
You
don't have a
cannot
problem with
choose a
that,
Kelly
man.
because you know Kelly has his show. You would probably choose a Tim Durand, who I don't know. I don't know where Tim votes. You may choose a Wackers, probably you don't know where he votes. You don't know he doesn't have a show on the radio, or somebody else having their own show on another radio. That is where you draw the line. You cannot choose these people to be judges, whether they are good or not.
Exactly.
That particular area of things should be left out.
Yeah, but what I think is,
So
what I
Wackers,
think to add,
Wackers, while you're on the mic though, what suggestion? I mean, do you have any other specific suggestions you want to offer to the association
Yeah,
as far as the
I
judging
said it
system is
before,
concerned?
I said it. Technically, I agree to the script. I agree to the process, the shadow. I agree what Ian said, with
Okay,
the
yes, I
exception of
know,
what
but I was
I've just
asking whether you
said.
have any other ideas of your own. I mean, quite apart from endorsing what Ian said, do you have any other suggestions?
Well, I'm suggesting that the training process be more held. It should be something that we do on probably a quarterly basis for the judges, and not only when Calypso is about to start, and not only by there's that shadowing thing at a certain point. It should be something that should be, because you want a pool of people that you can go into and you can select when the time is required, and you have that pool. You have a good pool of people,
let me make a point
where you
though.
can go to. So the
Importantly,
process has to be ongoing in terms of its training, the selection, and the criteria upon which they are chosen.
Okay.
So
All right,
importantly,
Ras Kelly.
So
Ian, we'll get back to you. Yeah.
as Ian tell you, there's a process. I think it's a very good process. But then unless you have, like Baba say, you cannot get everybody. It's a scientific thing. You have 9 people, 9 different people.
It's not
The
ducking.
process is a good one.
We're not...
Ian put it out for you. It is a good process. Now, we're saying some people from the first time you put them to shadow judge, Ian will tell you that you can see those people on. When you look at their sheet, you can see they on.
Right.
Yes,
So the point
Right?
here is
Then you will have some people, they will take 3-4 years. Ian know that.
it's true.
But then it's always about the person. And
Really,
the human
man.
factor is calling
Really.
him. I used to call
let me give some suggestion here.
Yeah.
One of the things I believe that needs to be done is that the Calypso executive need to put a policy on the type of persons which you use as judges. And as Wackers rightfully said, if you know somebody is on a platform having discussion against this and that, I think it's something that we can probably eliminate somebody like that. But that's a policy that the Calypso executive need to do and give before we choose judges. But let me back off. We have an issue of getting new judges. A lot of people do not want to come into the judges pool because of the amount of thief, volley, and people starting to attack judges now. I am telling you, there's a certain person in the Calypso thing that attacking the judges and promising to fire all the judges. He is the one that's responsible for putting Peter and them in the executive. Because Peter and them probably love him because he said he fired the last executive and he hired the new executive. But he's at the
Tuna
judge
Peter, who put you there?
ask people put him here. No, and now they are and this person and this are actually meeting judges on the road and thing and going on national television, not television, radio, and saying that by 2027 most of the judges will be fired. Be looking for that.
Okay. Well, Peter,
No.
this is a segue to you because I've been waiting to hear from you. But Baba, you had your turn first. You want to come on again with something else?
Yeah, well, what I want to say is that what I endorse what Ian is saying, that if you put the standards in place, and the standards should be clear and public, and you use that to select the judges. And I think the idea that, like Dominica is a small place, we assume everybody have a political position. That is okay. The point is, if somebody is publicly political, is identified in of a particular party or not, or against a particular party, that person would automatically be disqualified, I think. So that we would, although people will come in with their biases and we cannot say what they're going to do tonight, we can eliminate certain people, just like the high and the low. So, like, basically, if people too high and too well, that shouldn't be just an arbitrary decision from my partner from how many years in grammar school. I think that should be a stated objective and a standard that everybody knows.
Okay. All right. So, Peter, your turn now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It seems to me what is coming through. Peter's next. It seems to me what is coming through is that the DCA has to implement a more rigorous process, right, for the selection of judges. But what do you think of the suggestions that have been made here, and what plans does the association itself have to improve the judging system?
As Ian described, the whole process of choosing judges. But at the end of it all, we can only work with what we have. So I think to start this season, there was a pool of around 15 judges. And then 3 judges pulled out, well, that's including Ian, and 2 others for the finals. So that left us with like 12. So, if Peter later had the choice, I could go out and pick who I believe might be a good judge. But does that person want to judge? That's the little challenge. So we can only work with who wants to do it. And what we have now is who we know of on Island who is willing to come forward to judge. Now, we can have the best process possible, but judging,
the human factor.
Judging is, as if Go said, is a human factor. People grow up differently. People have different opinions, and you never know what will come out till you see the scorecard. But after you have seen the scorecard, it's too late. A decision has already been made.
But are you satisfied though? Are you satisfied though, Peter and Ghost? You've been in the business, in the Calypso business, that the procedure, the process, for the selection of judges is rigorous enough?
I think the process is
not
rigorous.
necessarily foolproof. Huh?
I think the process is rigorous enough. But what I can say is, for all my years in Calypso, I cannot think of any year where the crown went to somebody who was just out of it. It's always reasonable. The crown is always reasonable. Yes, we might have different opinions, but once majority of the crowd stays, or the crowd stays to hear that person sing their song, that means the crowd is satisfied. Funny enough, we make it seem like judging is so hard. We have 9 judges. We have 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people in the park. And the 3,000, 5,000 people always know the outcome, or they expect a certain outcome. And sometimes the judges differ. But I think the opinion of the crowd is very correct in most cases, eh? You know, so I mean, I guess it's biased. Sometimes, how can we get foolproof? I have no idea. Some people say
Tim,
let's
Tim,
put a
yeah.
process in place. When you judge, your score goes in and you cannot change it. But when it happens that way, at the end, when you're deliberating, you ask the judges who you all think is the winner. All of them might come up with the same name, and when they check the points, it says something else. So that's why they have to go back and discuss, see what went wrong with the judging, and fix it. I mean, I think Ian explained it to the T. Ian explained it to the T. Ian has been a chief judge for years. I'm not sure why he wasn't there this year, but
Okay.
Tell you.
All right.
Tim,
All right.
Let me just say, Tim, let me just.
things happen. Things happen. Opinions vary. People do things with the hope that what the decision they make might be the best. However, some see it differently. But that's life. That's life.
But Peter, I didn't get the impression from Ian
Tim,
that he's done with judging, you know.
No.
He,
It's
he,
not
ma-
that
he
it's
made
just
it clear to me
yeah.
that he's no longer the chief judge, but I got impression from him that he's still a
Yeah,
judge.
but Peter, the Peter executive did not want me as a chief judge. That's what is. But I will put it out there
Oh, the
and make sure
fire,
you
the
take
fire,
it.
you know.
All right. Well,
No,
guys,
they
we'll have
didn't
to
fire
fire,
me.
you know.
Well, technically they did.
guys, we'll have to have another program,
Tim,
right, to discuss that, right?
Tim,
But right
Tim,
now, I want to
let me
bring in
just say
Wackers.
something.
Wackers has been dying to make a point
Yeah.
here, right?
like
Please,
And we're running out of
I like
time.
to listen.
Tim,
I like
Tim,
to
Yes.
Tim,
listen.
Tim.
Tim, hold
Yes.
on.
Before
Hold
Wackers,
on, Peter.
I
Yes,
want
they're just on
Wack-
Wackers. Peter wants to
Wackers.
finish his thought.
Look at Wackers right here. Wackers could be a very good judge.
I think so too, yeah.
Yes. Why isn't Wackers
But
on?
he prefers to be a commentator.
Tim, let me, but
Hold on.
you could
His
have selected.
partner,
But
his
hold
partner,
on,
Philip,
Peter.
a very good judge.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Wackers will be judging on his panel.
He's going to address that. He's going to address that. Wackers address that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim,
Yes. Yes.
I mean, let us not forget one fundamental thing.
Right.
There is a criteria, you know.
A scientific one
criteria
too.
is clear, and it is clear. 35 points for lyrics, 35 points for melody, 20 points for rendition, 10 points for presentation. Then, to even explain it further and to make it even more clearer, there are sub-criteria from each criterion. You understand?
Right.
Which makes it clear. So judging in itself is not hard based on the criteria that is there already.
All right.
So there is no reason why some judges should be biased about what they are judging based on the criteria that they have before them on the night when they are judging.
Right.
So therefore, there is no objection or difference of opinion when it comes to that. The point is, notwithstanding what I've said about selection on base and again on the person, including character, their partisanship, there is a criteria for judging that shouldn't be left out. So judging itself cannot be hard. And you are right, Peter, about over the years, and Ghost know that over the years, there have always been something about who won and who didn't win, but that hasn't been something that has brought people to be so divisive as it is now. Because there's something we are living out. Because we have not gone back to the criteria. In other words, if we were doing a post-mortem on the judges, we would have brought them before us and say, yo, look the criteria. Did you all stick to that based on the song that won, based on the king that was chosen? Let us look at them individually and have some third party that can understand each thing and look at it and judge them based on that. Because at the end of the day, Calypso is judged based on the criteria.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Marcus. Now, gentlemen, I mean, there is so much more that we can talk about, on judging and Calypso in general, but we have run out of time. And I want to end by having each of you utilize 30 seconds. I'm sorry, I wish I could give you more time. 30 seconds for your final comments on the topic. Is Calypso ailing? And if so, how do we treat it? Just summarize whatever points you have made in just about 30 seconds. Baba, you want to start?
Well, what I would say in terms of for the future is that we should prepare the ground properly, and we should probably focus a lot more on the Calypsonians coming up, the youth, the young Calypsonians, and possibly hold workshops and so with potential Calypsonians, even new and the older ones as well, to inform them of the standards and the intricacies and the breakdown of the points and all that, so that when they do the calypso, they themselves are informed. Because a lot of times the Calypsonians just sing the song and just leave it to the judges to judge. They themselves should have some internal criteria to know, well, hey, I need to boost up my lyrics, my melody is weak, or whatever. So I think that needs to be done, and focus on the young Calypsonians or new Calypsonians to train them to what is needed.
Ras Kelly.
Well, Tim, I don't know. I really don't know what it is we can do. But one of the things I believe the writers have to, I don't know, the writers themselves, because while we say in Calypsonians, a lot of them just getting what the writers give them and they know nothing else more than that, to do what the writers, use what the writers give them. Because I believe the writers in themselves, we didn't talk much about that, but they are part of the people that kill the Calypso with the lyrics. And I believe, again, like the judging in itself, the system is there. The human factor is what it is. No matter what you do, you will have honest people, dishonest people. And Wackers, even though I'm a hardcore red, I could go there and judge a Calypso and do it properly. I know that. And then you have people you believe that undercover, they might do a worse job than me, and they're probably more crucial than me in terms of the political bias. You know, so it's all about us. And until if we want it to be dehumanized, you'd have to, as I say, get Chat GPT to judge Calypso, and probably that would make it different. But in the meantime, the human factor is there, we're going to have that. And Ian, as I always say, because I used to be a judge trainer, you know, and I always used to tell them, expect after the first show, they see him always changing to volley. Right, Ian?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Ras Kelly, thanks.
Volley.
Guys, let's try to keep it to 30 seconds. Wackers.
Well, Tim, based on what we have discussed, obviously there's a lot of work to be done. And of course, the DCA, the Dominica Calypso Association, has a lot on its hand. And Peter, what has been said there tonight is, of course, some measures I hope you can take in. And of course, you have started the process. I have confidence in your leadership or your part of your membership. And I believe that you can do better based on some of the discussions we have in here. I don't believe that Calypso is dead. I believe it has challenges, and some of it we have to look at the realities of the situation, the realities of the time, and we have to adapt accordingly.
Okay. Ian?
Yes, and to add, I believe, as Walker said, Calypso is not dead, and I am endorsing the executive of Peter and them trying new things to bring in people on board. But I'm also saying that they should probably divorce themselves from the competition and concentrate on the as executive, which I believe will see the Calypso I'm going through. The ideas are good, keep it on. I do not believe the guys are not are capable, but divorce yourself from competition. Especially top executive. You can't be performing and being top executive. Concentrate on moving and the new ideas and trying new things to get people in. If it haven't got economics in it, it will not work.
Okay, thank you, Ian. And Peter, I left for last the representative of the organization that has the responsibility to ensure the the revival and the survival of Calypso. Let's hear from you.
It would be easy if I were to say Dominica Calypso is ailing. But the thing is, Calypso, locally, regionally, internationally, is ailing. So it's hard work to get Calypso back to what it was. But as I say, as Ghost said, he's in the ticket booth and he saw a difference in the gate receipts this year. He claims that it might be foreigners, whatever it is, but he saw an increase, which is a good move to start. So I just want to say that the moves the executive made this year, I guess we have to try, keep on doing it. Let's see what happens. It's not something that can change overnight. It's a process. We just have to be patient and see what comes out next couple of years. But everybody means well for Calypso. It's just what is going to work. Marketing, writers, judging is a combination. It's a tough combination, and it's all about opinions on what will work, opinions on judging, or it's opinions on everything. And Calypso is a funny art form. Even judging Calypso is different from judging any other show. I mean, Calypso really has challenges, but as I say, I think there's light at the end of the tunnel for Calypso. And next couple of years, Calypso will be back to what
All
it
right.
And
is.
Well,
let
thank
me
you.
give Tim one last thing. Tim, during this season you on, and then as the season close, you finish. What about you yourself bringing us together every now and again?
That's a
Off
wonderful
season,
idea, and that's a
off
wonderful
season,
idea, and that was on my mind. So thank you.
off season.
Okay,
Yeah.
but gentlemen, thank you very much for a really interesting and passionate at times discussion. And as Ras Kelly said, maybe we should come back and do it again. Plan that and see how we can keep it going. Okay, thank you, Clement Richards, Barbara Richards, um, Wackers, Ashton Wackers, Lugay, Ian Dorival, Ras Kelly, and Peter Later. Thank you very much, guys.